Isabella just texted me. Um, all right, we should be live. Isabella just texted me. Hello, hello. Welcome. So I can't tell if people are joining since we're live streaming this from Zoom, but Isabella Segarra, our valiant social media coordinator on the Mesa team, will be attending to all your questions in the chat and directing you to any links that we talk about here. So I'll let her handle that side of things, and then Oluwumi and I will be talking here on Zoom. So welcome, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Oluwumi Benedict, a passionate advocate for sustainable agriculture and a leading voice in soil health across Africa. As the executive director of Grow West Africa, she champions regenerative practices that restore soil vitality, enhance food security, and empower farming communities. In 2016, Oluwumi participated in Mesa's SAGE program, and in 2024, her organization in Ghana joined Mesa as a global partner. She will be featured as a guest speaker for Mesa's upcoming 6-week Introduction to Global Agroecology course beginning in October and speaking on soil health. Thank you so much for being here, Oluwumi.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to always be with Mesa. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful journey. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. Could you start us off by just telling us a little bit about Grow West Africa's mission and how it was founded?
So, like you all know, my name is actually Abosede Olaomi Benedict, but I love to be called Olaomi. Olaomi means I love wealth. And when we look about wealth, wealth is not about money, it's about so many things. So that's where actually the journey of my process in agriculture, in organic, in agroecology comes in. So I take the root from my grandparents, maternal grandparents. They are both farmers, as in time farmers. And my mom loved to garden, to grow things in the house and things like that. And I grew up finding animals in the house, and we have farms and things like that. And though my father wanted me to study pharmacy, I've always tell the story, but my mom just intentionally keeps saying that I'm going to do agriculture. I mean, there was a battle at home for this. And then finally, I went to study agri-economics, but never thought in my life that I was going to be like this. So find an organization. So my take was to do agri-economics and then, work in a bank, go and exclusive somewhere very nice place. But in 2009, I stumbled on a course online and in a newspaper, actually. My school that I finished from was hosting a postgraduate certificate course in organic agriculture. And since I studied at economics, I was wondering what is organic agriculture. In my entire 5 years in school, I finished in school, I didn't hear anything about organic agriculture. So I was curious through the newspaper and I went online searching what is organic agriculture. But because I grew up eating my grandmother's food, I know that the taste is different from what we buy in the city. I know something is wrong, but nobody could explain to me what was wrong. So I started reading about organic. I was like, maybe there's an answer here. I went for the course in UNAB, thanks to Professor Ayelagbe, that's been my father in organic agriculture. And I was selected, we were 25, I finished the course. And then at the end of the course, the two outstanding students were sent to the UK to go and see organic farm, to go and explore organic farm. And I was one of the two outstanding students. And that was the turning point for me. That was 2009, December, I can't forget. And after seeing organic farms, I came back to 2010 and I said no to conventional farming. And that was how the journey started. And we moved from Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian by birth and by marriage but we moved in 2013 to Ghana with my husband, and we've been in Ghana for that long. And in 2013, immediately we moved to Ghana. I said, I'm going back to my organic lifestyle, everything organic, even though I was doing it a little bit in Nigeria, but here I had expression to be able to do it. And then I kept exploring, working with different organizations. I traveled in 2016 to go and study more, at California in the US. And then in 2017, when I came back, I got the all clear of what I wanted to do. And that was how we founded with my partner, my husband, Grow West Africa, because we know that it's beyond Ghana or Nigeria where we stay. And that's how the dream of Grow West Africa came to birth. And then we've been working with different stakeholders. Typically, we're training and capacity building, even though we have farms, but we do capacity building in organic and agroecology, embedding people in the practice and not the theory. We have farms that we demonstrate all the practices, how you go with it, how you do it from one stage to another till you get the result. And each person we mentor or we work with, we hold their hands and we are still holding their hands. And that's been our journey for years. Thank you.
Thank you. Your work is so important, especially in a landscape that has been so influenced by industrialization, right? All throughout West Africa. I know that the landscape has been changing over the years. Can you tell us a little bit more about that history and sort of where you are contextually now, training farmers in organic and agroecology? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry,
You're
sorry,
good.
I'm not just going to mute myself again. So we moved from the pre-colonial era, that was a transition zone. We moved the Atlantic trade, where there's trade, where they actually made us to now start focusing more on cash crops, so to speak. And now we now start trading. We saw agriculture more of trading than knowing what we're going to eat or being able to own something. We saw it more as an exchange of money in the trade system. Then we move from there to the colonial agriculture. The colonial agriculture, now that's when the brainwashing of green agriculture started coming in. We started moving towards green agriculture. Then we moved to the green revolution, where the whole thing now came to being. And then we were fully indoctrinated into green agriculture, which is not green anyway. I don't know where that name came from, because I could call it black agriculture because it took away everything that we own, everything that we used to be, everything we used to eat. We no longer value who we are and how we farm and everything. And it was more dominated about yield, about money, not about the environment, not about what makes us who we are, the kind of food that we love to eat as a people. And then now we are now going back again gradually to the point whereby we are beginning to realize that, oh, the green agriculture is not going to favor us, it's not going to work for us. Now we are now trying to be more liberated, working towards liberation so that our food system can be liberated and we can actually depend on what we eat, start rejecting GMO, a lot of noise now. People are now understanding that those years from the mid 19s those years, those number of years that we have actually worked in this deep colonization is not going to help us. So that has been the transition journey of agriculture in West Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. So for those of us on the call that might not have as much experience with agroecology or sustainable agriculture, would you mind giving us your definition of these two terms? How does it differentiate
So,
from industrial and green revolution practices?
oh my God, this is actually, a conversation that is always taking me so in depth when we talk about sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agriculture is actually a system of practicing agriculture that is goal-oriented, it is actually focused on not compromising about the future. So, but it is not saying that while you're compromising, not damaging the future, you'll still be able to be responsible to use certain things, but use it in a responsible manner. Use it in a way that you do not disturb other people, or you do not disturb the next generation that is coming after you. Whereas agroecology is a pathway. It's a pathway to redesign, to reorganize our food system. Agroecology is a practice, is a movement, and is a science. So it's a combination of these three elements together. When we say it is a practice, it's an art, it's something that you have to be, it's a lifestyle. I was just sharing with her, it's a lifestyle. A lot of people say, I am practicing agroecology. You can be practicing agroecology and not be an agroecologist. They are two different things. When you are practicing agroecology, then you are using all the practices, crop rotation, composting. Yes, you're doing it, soil health, animal health, recycling, all these principles of agroecology. You are actually using them on your farm and or with your enterprise, even if you are doing processing and all that, you are doing all that. But when you are an agroecologist, it transits from just practice into your life. You become conscious of the decisions that you make, whether convenient or not convenient, whether consciously or unconsciously, you start making certain decisions or certain habits that it's different from what the world entirely would do. For example, we go to workshops, we go to meetings, or you even go and buy food by yourself at the restaurant. Then you taste the food, it's not too nice like you wanted it, you leave the food. That food is going to go into the trash. That food is not going to be used. But as an agroecologist, you begin to think, what is the connection between this food, small as it is in my front, with the entire world? How is this little food connected with the entire world? What system the way it's going to affect the entire world? The production system, where it came from, how well is it going to affect the entire world? Then you become conscious of this, and then you say, can you pack this food for me? Not because you're going to eat it, but because you know that you can feed it to a dog, you can feed it to a pig, you can feed it to the chickens, you can feed it to animals that can eat it. Or you find a way of turning it to something else and then reuse it, where recycling comes in agroecology. So you are able to be conscious of your environment, or you start being conscious of not accepting plastic, or not even when you accept the plastic, you are thinking as you're accepting it, what can I use this plastic to do? So it becomes a lifestyle for you because you are now an agroecologist. But when it comes to an agroecological practice, you are just practicing the act and the norms. And as a movement, you are joining other people, you're to voice out that we want this, our traditional way of farming, not because we don't believe in science, because agroecology is a science and a movement and a practice, but because we know that indigenous knowledge matters. We want to be able to have our seeds. We want to be able to use our farmers to be able to still use some of their seeds that we know that they can have all the seeds, because some of the colonization habits that we have formed now, we eat a lot of vegetables that we cannot even grow the seeds in this part of the world. It has to come from somewhere. So all this, but we know how to minimize that and make sure that our traditional food, surface and all that. And then when I look at it, I'm going to look at it from like different factors. When you look at the approach like in sustainable agriculture is broader. It's very wide, it's very big. And like I've mentioned in agroecology, it's going somewhere. It's a pathway, it's a direction. It just don't leave us to anything. You know what you have to do, you know where to do it, you are conscious of it. Then when we look at the scope of sustainable agriculture, it transits from off-farm level to techniques to reduce chemical usage, conservation, agriculture, management, efficiency, yield comes in there. But when we talk about agroecology, you're talking about the impact. You're talking about the whole food system, from the seed, where the seed comes from, to the rain, to harvesting of water, to the people that is going to process it. What is the relationship? What is the connection between all those people? How are they treated? The principle of fairness is coming to place. Or what is the governance system? There are policies that is helping those people, that is protecting their interests, the right of women, the right of indigenous people, that they have access to their land. They are able to still continue to work on their land and to maintain their land. We are not saying that sustainable agriculture is bad or any form of other agriculture is bad, but people must have choice. There has to be a choice for you to choose the direction in which you want to go, the line in which you want to go. Then you are able to, as a person, make that choice by yourself and decide, these are the kind of food I want to eat. But you are not forced in, food is not forced into your throat and say, these are the set of food that we must eat. For example, they have made us to forget our millet in this part of the world, our sorghum, rich in protein. And then we are so dependent on maize, which is not as rich in protein and other minerals like my sorghum and my millet. Why should I continue to foster my energy? And we know that I need higher volume of compost to produce maize than to produce millet and sorghum. So why should I depend on it so much for my existence? It's not my food. Millet and sorghum is my traditional food. So I'm not saying maize is not good. No, we can still continue to eat, but let's value what we have and let's continue to make the principle, the knowledge of agroecology to thrive. When we talk about the principle in agroecology, we have 13 principles: recycling, resilience, co-creation of knowledge, and meaning that nobody is an island of knowledge. Nobody, the knowledge that you're sharing does not come from you, it comes from other people. So why not build it together? But when we talk about sustainable agriculture, it focuses on three dimensions: environmental, social, and economic. But agroecology is wide. It encompasses beyond these three, dimension that sustainable agriculture is focusing on. I think I'll leave, because if I continue with this sustainable, we're not going to be able to get other things yet. So these are some of the differences, between sustainable agriculture and agroecology. Yes, but the truth of the matter is that sustainable agriculture uses some of the practices embedded in agriculture. So they are taking certain things, and it actually came when the issue of sustainable development came in. It's a fraction out of sustainable development, but agroecology has been the movement has been long years ago, even though we didn't call it agroecology. And then if you look at the word agro and ecology, if you balance the two, agriculture and ecology, it's a word. This is a word that you can literally see the meaning in the dictionary. And sustainable agriculture is something that people just came overnight to come and develop because of sustainable development. Yes, I leave it at that. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Olumimi. Such an expansive and in-depth definition. I really love the way you frame agroecology as a pathway forward. It's not only a set of principles, but it's a political movement, a practice, and a science. So I think you covered all of those aspects and their intertwinement so beautifully. Thank you for that. And I want to hear more about the political movement aspect, because I know that you've been pretty involved in that across West Africa, developing organic policies, standards for agriculture and agroecology. So could you tell us a little bit about your work with that, sort of the current state of affairs in West Africa in terms of support for these practices?
Yeah, in West Africa, the movement is increasing. I must acknowledge that. And I must also acknowledge here that in the Francophone countries, the movement is moving faster than the Anglophone countries. Yes, I can say this anywhere without any apology. They are moving, I don't know why, but they are moving at a speed for agroecology that we are not moving in the English-speaking countries, which we have to catch up with them. But the movement is growing gradually. People are beginning to ask questions. People are beginning to, and I always say, thank God to COVID. In quote, COVID brought out a lot of awareness, a lot of shortage in food system, and food supply was cut off, so people have to eat a little bit local than before, and so all these fusion and a lot of health issues started springing up now. People are asking questions, are trying to connect what they eat to their health, and so people are beginning to appreciate better agroecology and organic practices of farmers that are growing food without any input, synthetic input. So it's growing. When it comes to standard in West Africa, I would say that concerning organic, we don't have an organic standard for the whole of West Africa. But some countries have their own standard that they're using for organic, which also plays for agroecology because in agroecology, it's only India now that has been able to have a standard for agroecology. Other countries, we just play with the organic standard, the 4 principles. And then once you are practicing agroecology, we also believe that you're practicing those 4 principles of organic, which is the principle of ecology, the principle of fairness, the principle of care, and the principle of health. So in these 4 principles, you're actually also doing agroecology. And so you can go for either certification or peer review when you use PGS. PGS is Participatory Guarantee System, which is the set of verification. I don't like call it certification, verification for local consumption for local practitioners. And so in West Africa now, we are developing the West Africa Organic Standard, which is already sitting with ECOWAS for us to be able to unify all our practices, ways of doing, and then to increase trade between us. Because if we don't have that, then a product that is organic in Ghana and is organic in Nigeria, for example, the 2 countries has to, agree as bilateral trade between themselves. And it takes a lot of process. But once at the subcontinental level, which is the regional level now, and we have a standard, it means that anything that is approved with this standard now can be sold anywhere within the region as organic. And then this particular standard, we can now begin to have bilateral trade agreements with the rest of Africa and then with the rest of the other continent, once we are able to meet their standard. And that's where we are. And we hope that very soon the West Africa standard will come out next year, and then all of us will be happy as an instrument to be used, and not to force people to do things, but to guide us and to help us monitor things. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Well, looking forward to hearing that great news from all of your hard work. So moving into our next section, let's get into the nitty-gritty of agroecology and what it does and what you're doing with farmers in Ghana. Can you tell me more about how Grow West Africa is promoting biodiversity with your trainings?
So with our trainings, we have diverse trainings for different categories of stakeholders. We call them stakeholders because we co-create everything together. So we have trainings for youth, which we call Walk, Learn, and Hand program. I'm sure a lot of people will have seen that. They come, they walk, they learn, and then they earn a stipend because we are encouraging them to go into agroecology, to learn more about agroecology and to promote agroecology. Then we have the farmers wing, where we have different farmers group that we work with, a lot of women group. I pay respect to that. Women group that we work with, that we train, that we encourage, that we motivate to keep practicing agroecology. And then we have the other stakeholders that we work with. We have the policy makers that we work with. We have, that we work with the ministry in Ghana. We call it the Ministry of MOFA, the Ministry of Agriculture. We work with our own Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Agriculture here, where we like district, we call it district, some call it local government or county in the East Africa. We work with them in helping in terms of extension, sharing knowledge within extension services. And we work with the Ghana Agroecology movement very well. So we are a very good partner in with the Ghana Agroecology movement, trying to shape in terms of policy, in terms of other direction in agroecology in Ghana. And also we work with the Ghana Women Agroecology movement. That's another big thing that is coming up in Ghana, where the women are coming together and promoting agroecology, and then the movement is growing also, so that it's easier when our voices are together than when one person, and we have strength. The strength are diverse within. I am focused on capacity building. Somebody is focused on advocacy. Somebody is, can create content. So with all this instrument, our voices can be heard at the policy level, and that's what we do. And when it comes to the farm, the Grow West Africa itself in the system, we do not just focus on crop. We have the animal section, and then we have the crop. So that's diversity. So we are able to pull resources. When I say resources, those in agroecology, resources from the animal section, we pull it to the crop section. And then from the crop section, we are able to feed also the animals. So the system is evolving around each other. And then we do a lot of processing of the things that we grow and sell to consumers. And then when our participants are on the ground, whatever is available, they use to feed them also. So we have hostels, residential hostels where the participants stay. So when you're coming for our training, it's not except the women group, that we have station trainees that they go and come, or we go to their farms or their places and train. For the youth program, you have to be stationed in West Africa for 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the program we are running. And some comes and stay for 3 months. Once they see the system, because we start with crop production, which is the basis. If you don't understand crop production, you can't understand animal production, because they need food to eat. So how do you grow their food? That's where the basis where we start from. And so once they go into crop production and the person is still interested, or that animal production is his focus, he stays back for another few months and then learn animal production. And then some even stay as long as 6 months. Some come back after that. And we keep working with everyone like that. Yes.
Wow, so many wonderful trainings. You're reaching so many groups of people with those. Thank you for sharing about that. And I wanted to dive in deeper with the biodiversity question and ask about indigenous seeds. You've mentioned the importance of indigenous seeds and returning to indigenous diets a few times in this conversation. Can you expand a little bit more on why indigenous seeds are such an important part of agroecology?
So seeds generally are becoming very expensive. They are expensive. And like I said before, because of our civilization, I acknowledge the fact that there are some food that we have all grown up to be eating that we cannot do without, like some vegetables. And we can't have those seeds here. So those seeds cannot be indigenous to us. They don't even come from us. For example, maize is not indigenous to West Africa. It is not our food. That is the truth. It was domesticated to West Africa. So cassava is our food. Yes, that millet is our food in West Africa. Sorghum are indigenous seeds. And so this local and indigenous seeds, we can say that they are heirloom seeds, meaning that they've been able to stay in this environment over 50 years. That's the definition of heirloom seeds. It means that it's been able to stay over time in the system over 50 years. And so it's become part of us. And so because we have used them over and over, they have been adapted to the environmental conditions of the locality in which they are being grown. And through this, they are able to adapt easily. They are resilient. That's the word. They are resilient to the environment, to the system. and they're able to adapt very well to the environment. And they don't need a lot of external inputs, a lot of external forces for them to grow very well. So that's why indigenous seeds are important. And because a farmer can save the seed, and next year, or even a grower can save the seed, and next year he can use the seed, he can keep using them over and over and over. From an indigenous seed, I can breed the kind of quality or character that I want, the kind of, I can decide to start selecting colors. It's breeding, it's traditional, but I can do that also. I am able to be given the power to do that. But when the right of farmers or people are taken from there, and then seeds has to be bought every year for everything, even including my local sorghum and millet, I have to be buying those seeds. Then you've taken my right as a person, the right to live, the right to eat what I want to eat, or when I want to, or where I want my food to come from. So you've taken that right from me, and that is a big punishment for human. So that's why indigenous seeds are important, because the farmers can save it, they can keep using it. Is for us, is what we grow up with, is what we are used to. And so it's our identity, is our heritage. And so we can keep, permit me to say that people argue that because we are using indigenous seeds, blah, 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 we are not getting the yield. The seed is not why we are not getting the yield. It is the practices, it is what we put in the soil that is not making us get the yield. When your soil is rich, you have healthy plants, and then elder people will eat it. So if your soil is rich, there is a lot of organic matter in it. That indigenous seed is going to give you the same yield that an hybrid seed is going to give you. So all this knowledge about the yield, we are not going to meet yield, it is not. The knowledge is, it is our soil that is the problem. When our soil is degraded, when we don't put the right volume of compost, and the type of compost we are supposed to put in the soil at what time. So you're putting compost at a compost that is meant for the planting stage, you are putting it at the vegetative stage, then you're not going to get the yield. Or when you're not doing crop rotation, when you're not giving life back to your soil, your microorganisms are not there, the right, the good bacteria, the good fungi, you're killing them, or they're not in the right proportion. Then, or there's no balance between the nutrients, your calcium, your sulfur, your iron, your calcium, all these micro elements and the macro elements, they are not balanced. Then your magnesium, your manganese, your zinc, as much as boron is needed in the smallest, minute state, it is very important. When all this is not balanced, then you're not going to have the yield that you're supposed to have. And that is where the issue of yield comes from, and not from our seed. Thank you.
Thank you. You're really bringing back the importance of the relationship with the land and the soil. And that's something that these extractive ideas of what food production is really has taken out of the equation. You're bringing back that understanding. So thank you so much for that. One of our other global partners in Kenya, Mesa just recently did a global exchange program with GBAC there. And they're a seed training center, and they talk a lot about seed. And one of the challenging policies to their work is that seed saving is actually illegal in Kenya. How did it come to this? Is that something that you confront as a challenge in Ghana as well?
For us in Ghana now, it's not yet a problem, but we know that, there's our leaders, they meet, they talk. And so definitely, maybe a time will come that we can be confronted with such a system. But here we are, we're still, we can still save seeds, we can still exchange seeds to some extent as farmers. And but new laws are coming out every time now about the right to seed, and it's going to spread all over West Africa. It's spreading already about the right to seed. But also, we are also making our voice known that these rights cannot be taken away from us. Yes. And you see the impact of this foreign seed is that it has destroyed biodiversity. Now it is just certain varieties of food that people consume. It's wheat, maize, these are, look at all, and cassava, beans. Even I have beans now, the type of beans that I grew up, we used to eat. That's not the type of beans that is outside anymore. It's getting slimmer. Your choices are getting slimmer every day. You start thinking, how do I start using this one particular food now or crop and diversifying it into different meals? But before, while I was growing up, there were diverse vegetables, local vegetables. All those vegetables have gone to extinct. I quite remember my father loved some indigenous vegetables, and he had reasons for eating them health-wise, But those vegetables, you hardly can find them. If you want to find them in the market, if I go to Nigeria and I want to find them, I have to go very early in the morning to the market, or I have to tell the person buying it, to keep for me. It's not something that is common anymore. Our biodiversity, our rights, has really, really, really been taken. And that is the fear that is upon some of us that, and this is taking us to be reliant on chemical usage, because once you don't meet the yield as they are proposed to you, you're supposed to have 40 tons of this. Once you don't have that 40 tons, then they tell you, oh, you did not put the right input, so you have to increase your synthetic fertilizer. So you have to keep increasing and increasing. Oh, the spray that you use is not the right one, or is not effective anymore. You have to buy another one. You have to keep buying and buying and buying. And then that is why our farmers, so to speak, I'm sorry to say or use this word, they are poor. Why? Because they use all the money they have to buy inputs, which they don't get the use that is promised them, even after buying the input. So, but in agroecology, you are able to produce many things by yourself. God has blessed us in nature. There are many things that are available that can be used. Many plants has reason. This is one course that we take for our students, crop identification, because a lot of people cannot identify the crops, what we call weeds now. They cannot identify the uses. What is it used for? They call it weed. And because it's weed is a plant that is unwanted in a place. So they don't know the value. But there are lots of weeds, let me use that word, that is around us that are useful for crop production, the animal production. Thank you.
Thank you. You actually answered, I think, my last question. So I'm going to move forward with sort of a follow-up to what you're talking about regarding synthetic fertilizers. What are some of the challenges that the farmers that you're training to transition might face in transitioning away from synthetic fertilizers and trying to rebuild their soil using these organic practices?
So I usually say that policy, even people say, no, there's no need for, policy is not the first thing, but policy. Well, from where I sit in Ghana, policy, because agriculture is driven by the Ministry of Agriculture to a very large extent in Ghana. And so every information that comes from the Ministry of Agriculture, we hold it in our esteem. So if our ministry is shouting and making noise about agroecology, about using compost, about doing this, you see the farmers and everyone going in that direction. So in Ghana, we have subsidy on synthetic inputs, and we have subsidy also on compost. But even the compost that is on the that are subsidized, they're not readily available. The farmers don't even know they are there because they are not promoted. They can't access them. Those that even know can't access them because where they are produced is far from where the farmers are. So cost of even transporting them, cost of bringing them, and then because they need volume, the ratio compared to the synthetic one, the volume that you will need for your plant is higher. So they look at how do I convey all this to my farm and all that. But when we are teaching them how to make all these materials, because they have the raw materials, how to now make them into things that are useful, that are easy to carry within their enclave is important. That's why I said policy is very important. And then the myth that agroecology cannot feed the world is a myth that needs to be debunked. Our mindset needs to change, that it is not the practice, it is what happened in the entire value chain. A lot of food are being wasted at the farm gate, at the farm level. Roads are not developed where the farmers are. How do they convey the food that they have grown to the market or to people that can eat it? So it's a lot of waste in the system. And even at the marketplace, you need to go to some of our markets and see how food are being wasted, are perishing there. What are this food turned into? What are they being used to? Even if they're into waste, they're wasted, they are not good again for consumption. What do we turn them into? So it is not the fact that agroecology can feed the world. I say it again. And the issue also about this is because we are now into more of the quantity than the quality. There are no quality in the food that we produce via this synthetic, because we don't, in this part of the world, we don't do analysis. Take maize that has been grown with synthetic input heavily, and take maize, or you call it corn, that has been grown with compost, with organic inputs, and let's do the nutritional analysis. Then we begin to see things playing out to our faces. This is how this myth is supposed to be raised. Because the quality, I keep saying it, the quality of, you don't need to eat a lot of food. You need to eat very little food that has quality, that is balanced. So when this food is balanced, in terms of, even when it is maize you are eating, the maize itself is balanced in terms of it has all the nutrients that it's supposed to have in the right proportion. You'll be full when you eat just a little. But when the maize has no quality, it's just like eating shat. You will have to eat a lot of food. And I always make this analogy to our farmers when I go to train them. I said, they should think the quantity of, we have a food called banku in Ghana. It's made with corn and cassava. The quantity they used to give their children before and the quantity they feed them now, how is that? They keep saying it, that the quantity, the children are eating more, and they will say they are not even full. But then they eat very little and they are full. I said, that is the analysis. It's what you put inside that you get the quality. You put synthetic, you get the quality. You put organic, you get the quality. I rest there.
Mhm. Absolutely. I see the chat actually going off right now. People saying, yes, quantity over quality, and agreeing with a lot of the things you're saying, as well as some, I think, questions popping up. So I want to make sure to have some time at the end. So I think maybe for the last couple of questions, I want to ask, how can people watching this conversation strengthen the movement for agroecology?
So we need to start as a person. Each person needs to start. I always say that even if all your house is plastered, the floor is plastered, you can still grow something. Form a community with friends. You grow this, I grow this, and then exchange. Start talking about it. Start asking questions. When you read, ask questions. Let's have, intellectual debates about the food that we eat, the rights to food. Who is feeding us? Who are the people? Do you even know who is feeding you? And you know what they're feeding you with? So when last have you visited do you have a farmer that you visit, that you check what the person is doing? Or you are just so dependent on going to the market and buying? I have a sister, and she's a nutritionist in the UK. And we're talking a few weeks ago. And she said she went to the supermarket and she was checking some of the ingredients and she came across certain things. And she, because she's a nutritionist, she went to check certain things. And she was like, hey, this, she called and we're talking and she's like, this thing you are telling us is real. It's not just in West Africa, it's here. The problem is even more. I found this in this food. And we started the discussion. Let's have discussion. Let more people be aware of the danger of the food. It's not about the fact that you are rich. I tell people you can be rich and be using your riches to buy, illness because of the fact that I want to eat whatever I like, I can eat, it's my money. It's not about your money. Think about the people that surround you, your family that you're going to put in pain if something happened to you. Think about the loved ones, the people that you are helping that are going to feel your absence if something happened to you as a result of food. Things happen, I understand. We lose loved ones, I understand. But we shouldn't neglect our protection about food, where our food come from, and then let a lot of people continue to grow and to talk about it. Put our voices together. Let our voices matter. That is why agroecology is a movement. Everybody is needed. Whether you're a pilot, you are an engineer, you are a doctor, you are a nurse, you are a content creator, you're even a stylist, as in making a fashion design. Everybody is needed in the movement because there's one common thing that binds us together. It is called food. Food binds us all together. The, the quality of food is another level, but food binds all of us together. So because of this, we all need to come together and start ask questions. If anybody tell you, why are you asking me what I put in my, if I want to buy something and I can't see what is inside it and I cannot go and check, I am not going to buy that ingredient or that food. Ask question. If I can write to anybody, you can. It's your right. We have rights. Even though, hey, be careful in Africa. Yes, we know that the powers to be can override our power. But when we come together now, when it's not one person shooting the voice, when it's a group of people shooting the voice, I don't think they can kill all of us. They can they can't kill all of us. They can't kill our voices together. Thank you. Yeah.
It reminds me of the saying, like they buried us, but they didn't know that we were seeds. Altogether, they can't do anything. So thank you for that. We do have a few questions in the chat, and we have about 10 minutes left for the webinar. So thank you to everyone that's joined us live and is contributing in the chat. If you have any more questions, now's the time to drop those, so that hopefully Oluwumi can get a chance to answer them. So thank you so much for this conversation, Oluwumi. We have a question from Wisdom, who is a farmer from Ghana that's trained with you and is now currently in Mesa's SAGE program here in the US, training on a US host farm. So Wisdom asked, can I create my own indigenous seed stock by starting with a hybrid seed? Specifically, if I buy a hybrid seed, grow the first crop, save the seeds from that crop. So would you be able to answer that? Do you need me to repeat
Yes.
it?
Yes. Hybrid seeds have been, it's a function of two varieties, variety A and variety B fusion together, and then you have what we call F1 first generation. Yes. Once you have the first generation, there's a characteristics that was selected. If in that first generation you now decide to plant that seed, you're not going to get exact characteristics anymore that you saw in your F1. You're going to have diverse. That is why a father and a mother give birth to a child. The child looks like one of them, so to speak. And then when that child marries another leg now, it's not going to look like the initial father or mother anymore. It's not going to look like her. So there's going to be divergent, different characteristics playing out. So it will be difficult to say breed with an hybrid seed. But if you are patient, I have done it with legumes. If you are patient, then you start your selection. You start picking the characters that you want from that hybrid. It's going to take you a while. but then you might eventually get a new breed that is indigenous to you. Yes. But it's a lot of work.
Yes, yes. I think I've heard that tomatoes are one of those hybrid seeds that just in a few generations you can get it back to sort of a wild variety, more or less. Is that true?
Yes, yes, yes. But like I said, it's a lot of and a lot of patience. So how many farmers will invest money and want to be doing this type of trials over and over and over? Because you're not going to get a yield. You might not be able to sell the color of the tomato to people. So what are you going to do? So that's why it has to be done in a small scale, very, very small scale trial. And then you keep learning as you do this trial by yourself. Yeah.
Great, thank you. We have another question from Richard. Richard's asking, how can farmers adapt with the changing anthropological interferences with our lands and forest, resulting to growing concerns with sustainability and agroecology?
Can you repeat that question?
Hmm? He's asking how farmers can adapt with the changing interferences with our lands and forests.
Hmm. Somehow is actually referring to climate change. Everything is changing. Our forest is not the way. So you have to create, you see, you have to create an ecosystem that thrives for you. That is why agroforestry is very important in agroecology. You have to plant trees, you have to create that forest enclave for yourself, no matter how small that your system is. It's only when you are in the urban areas that might be a little bit difficult. But when you are not, you are in a real farm setting, you have to create that forest for yourself. You have to be able to look at what trees can thrive in your environment and plant those trees because they also have benefits for you to give to your landscape. And looking at the forest system, we just have to keep pushing for the right policy. Trees should not be cut, but we all know we are in West Africa. Trees, as we are planting them, more trees are being cut, are being fed down to for production of timber, for production of charcoal, and so on. So that's why I said a mindset has to change. If each one of us, our mindset change, then the way we do things also will change. We know that it is destructive to cut trees in the forest down for my personal gain to make charcoal. So we begin to change how things, and if I have to do that, how many trees am I supposed to plant? How long do I need to wait before I fell a tree? All these are interwoven. It's a collective decision that we need to work with, and our policy has to work, and we have to make noise. We have to implement it. We have to tell people within an enclave when they're doing something wrong. We need to let them know that what they are doing is not right. As young people, we need to tell them that this is not right. It's going to affect all of us once there's a problem. Yes, that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Lumi. And I think we have time for maybe one last quick question. I see that Devils Gulch, a Mesa host farm, has commented in the chat that yes, transporting products to processing and transporting products to consumers is a big factor. And they're asking, is agroecology looking at transportation issues?
Yes, that's why we're supposed to, reduce the enclave in which the food travels to. And that's why agroecology is focused on, there's one of the principle that is focused on your local food. So if you're focused on your local food, meaning that that food is for your community or for a small regional place, it's not going to travel that far. So you don't need a lot of transportation to travel to take that food outside your enclave. So meaning that you can shorten it because you are dependent on indigenous or your local food. But when we start eating things that will need a lot of transportation chain involved in it, then we are going to keep widening So our taste is part of being an agroecologist now. Your tastes, your desire for certain food has to start changing as an agroecologist because you're trying to shorten this. And then in agroecology, we say that the food has to reach the consumer faster, meaning that we create more farmers market. We create places that people can actually go buy this food, reach them, talk to them, get their feedback, and then they can enjoy the food. So we shorten the timelines within the transportation. Yes, agroecology is looking at that.
It's a great point. Yes. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our time. So I want everyone to know where they can find you. I know that you're very active on social media, on Instagram, grow_west_Africa. Do you have any other platforms that people can reach you on and continue to follow this great work you're doing?
Yes, I think we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. I'm not good on social media. That's the truth, because a lot of people tell me that when they hear me talk, like but you can't find you there. I'm not good on social media. I'm just good on teaching, on sharing knowledge. But I like now. I think I'm beginning to see the need to talk more on the social media handles and to promote what we believe on. So we are all, but once you Grow West Africa is Grow West Africa on all social media. There can be some hyphens of different things with, but once you put Grow West Africa on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Thread, on TikTok, yeah, I think I'm beginning to come alive on TikTok now. I'm when it comes to camera, I'm a shy person, like you don't know, but yeah, I am when it comes to not intentionally doing videos and like, but I can talk generally and people will be recording. I don't mind, but when it's intentional, like I really want to do video and all that, then I'm like, oh no 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 no, you don't have to. But like I think I want to take the responsibility to be more intentional and also to get young people, because I tell people you can't be a producer and be a content creator by yourself because my hands are always dirty. I am not the type of leader, producer, leader that gets into the farm and I'm going around. You see me, I am weeding, I'm doing something, I carry knapsack, I do spraying, I mix myself, I weed, I get into the farm and I'm working. So I'm not the type that gets into the farm and then I am not active. So when you want to take content and somebody has to follow you. So it's a system I'm trying to bring up now so that we can get more videos of what we do out for people. Yes. And we need support from people that are very good, that can help us, train us. I'm a novice when it comes to that. I am. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Oluwumi. And you could have fooled me because you're so active on all these platforms. So, whatever you're doing, it's working really well. You're a wonderful speaker. We're so grateful to have you here for this hour. And anybody who wants to learn more from Oluwumi, she's also going to be a guest speaker for Mesa's upcoming Intro to Global Agroecology course. She'll be doing a workshop on soil health and diving deeper with some of the things that we covered today, different kinds of compost that you can use, all of the different aspects of preserving and rebuilding soil health on October 15th. That'll be from 4 to 5:30 Pacific time. And I think Isabella is going to be dropping the link in the chat for how you can register for that course, as well as all those social media handles where you can continue to follow the wonderful work of Grow West Africa and Mesa. So thank you so much for joining us for this conversation today.
Thank you so much, Lee. Thank you to Mesa. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been a wonderful journey since 2016 that I've been given the opportunity to come and study in the US, and it has really changed my life and changed a lot of people. And now, being a global partner, we are actually working with Mesa now to ensure that we have young people being able to go to the US to have the same opportunity to learn, to see agroecology, organic agriculture in large scale, and then they come back to wherever they are in West Africa, and impact that knowledge back to the society. And that's what we'll continue to do. And we will trust God that God will help us, no matter how the policies are rolling from US. We will continue to find a way around it, and then people will continue to go to learn, because the knowledge is power. Knowledge is important. Knowledge transforms people, and it changes perspective, which it has done for me. And I'm still on a learning curve. I'm still learning. I will continue to learn. I love books. I love reading. I keep equipping myself. Thank you so much, Sumesa. Thank you for this opportunity. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining today. Let's build the movement. Let's build it in Ghana. Let's build it in Nigeria. Let's build it in West Africa. Let's build it in Africa. Africa is our continent. This is where we belong. This is my skin. This is where I belong. Even I might travel to any part of the world. I may live in any part of the world, but this is where my soul, this is where I come from. And so let's build it together. Let's work it together. Let's not divide ourselves anymore. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, everybody. We'll see you next
Bye.
time.
Yes,
Bye.
we'll see you next time. Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.